Hi, I'm Kevin Attride, and we're continuing our series on how you can reduce your taxes. Slam that thumbs up button and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of our tips. And I want you to leave a comment below. Ask a question or tell us what your favorite tax reduction strategy is.
Investing Secrets with Kevin Attride.
Okay, so today we're talking all about taxes, tax strategy, and how you can reduce your taxes on location, location, location. And what in the world do I mean by that? You probably understand that based on where you live or based on where your business is, you pay taxes. And there's a whole variety of taxes, but the first thing that comes to mind is state income tax. So not only do you have to pay taxes to the federal government, you also have to pay taxes to the state government. But there are certain states that have no state income tax. So when you live there or when your business is there, you don't have to pay any taxes on those funds. And you say, well, it's kind of hard for me to actually live in that state. Well, what if you retired to that state? Or what if one of those states is close enough so that you could actually live there and commute to where you go to work, or maybe you're actually really flexible, you're working mostly from online. So think about how you can position yourself to be in states that have no state income tax. And these are some of the states: Texas, Wyoming, Nevada, Tennessee. There are a handful of states, and I hypothesize that there are more states that become tax-free, income-free states because they recognize that people want to be there. In addition to income tax-free states, we can also think about some additional things. Maybe it's just not practical for you. Well, there are some additional states that do not tax pension income. There's just a handful of them. And there are also additional states that don't tax military pensions. So if you're one of those, there's a number of additional states there. And there are a number of states that don't tax Social Security income. So you can look up those, but think about how you can position your life to be in states or close to states, or maybe in a state when you plan to retire or have some change in the future that don't have the tax impacts. You're likely paying way too much of your hard-earned dollars to the government. Reduce your largest expense in life by utilizing every tax-saving strategy with the experts at Smeed CPA. Okay, next is property tax. Property tax can be a very large expense for the average household, depending on how large your house is. And my general rule is I prefer that you own your house over renting your house because you're building equity and you can use the mortgage interest deduction. And you often can leverage your mortgage to the hilt for your primary house, and you have reserves and you're using those funds for investment property. But that's a whole nother real estate discussion. But property taxes, there are a number of states that have much higher property taxes and some states that have lower property taxes. And you may say, well, I can't help. I want to have a house. I want to build the equity. So you can't really do anything about that. Maybe there's a different county that has slightly lower taxes and you could live there. Your secondary house, if you own one of those, your vacation house or the house that you rent out, that house could be in a place that has lower property taxes. And then that leads me to say, what about your income producing real estate, your investment real estate? You definitely want to make sure that you're in areas that have lower property tax, or if it has higher property tax, you've really made sure you've done your due diligence that it really makes sense to be in that state because of the market or the other factors. So property taxes are something for you to think about. Next are sales taxes. And you would say, well, I have to buy things to live on. Well, there are a number of states that don't have any sales tax. If you can live near those states and you can go into the state and not pay sales tax, Or if you're buying a large purchase, maybe you're buying a vehicle, you could drive to the state and actually buy your vehicle in that state not to pay taxes. In addition to avoiding the sales tax on items, when you do have to pay tax, you can make sure that you're tallying up. You have to have your receipts. It goes back to the first episode of documentation. You can make sure that you're using all of those receipts and tallying them up and use that sales tax as a tax deduction, especially for bigger purchases. Stop letting the commercial banks take advantage of you. Use infinite banking to compound your savings at a much higher rate by connecting with the experts at Living Wealth. So that's sales tax. We talked through income tax, property tax, sales tax. There are a few additional taxes that you can think about by location, but those are the primary ones. And next episode, we're going to be talking all about deductions, tax deductions, and how you can utilize those to minimize your taxes. And if you want all of these tax strategies in a single resource, click the link below to download my free tax guide so that you can better improve your tax reduction strategies, improve your wealth capture, and maximize your wealth generation engine, because it's time for you to experience financial freedom.
The information contained in this episode are opinions not to be used as individual guidance. As always, consult your own financial team for your investment decisions.